Research overwhelmingly shows that formative assessment, when properly embedded into instruction, gives teachers and their students better insight into learning. To demystify the process of formative assessment and extend it to classrooms throughout the state, the Michigan Department of Education and Measured Progress are delivering a comprehensive professional development program for teachers and administrators. Coaches are integral to the success of the formative assessment process program. They model formative assessment, provide support, and keep learning teams on track. Sean Carmody is a math curriculum specialist at Holt Junior High School and serves as a formative assessment coach. He began as a learning team member in year 1 of the program and shares his insights about formative assessment.
I was lucky enough to attend a session that Kim did at an OEAA session, and the way that the teachers talked, and I got to see some video of some students talking about what they did with their learning. And so it seemed a little mysterious and seemed like a really powerful thing if you could pull it off in your classroom. And so I was very interested in learning more. And it seemed particularly interesting for me because I work with some summer school programs and some after school programs in terms of helping some students who hadn't been successful before figure out what things they did know and maybe have a little bit more confidence in the math that they already knew so that we can move past that I don't like math, I don't get math kind of part and move into something where they could be more successful. And we could be pretty clear at defining where they were based on learning as opposed to based on playing the game of school. We had a team that was very interested in doing it. We had some work that we did ahead of time before our launch where we spent a week working together and doing some research prior to digging into doing some of the work of actually implementing it in our classrooms. The teachers that I work with dove in and made it their own in terms of really trying to do it in their classroom. Each member of the team sort of took a different take on it. I heard one teacher the other day said something very interesting. He said, I'm a better teacher this year because of the things that we're doing with part of our team. He feels like he's connecting more with kids. He's being much clearer in terms of what he expects of those kids. And then because of that, they're getting a lot more learning out of what he's teaching. And he's a teacher who's taught for a number of years, so it isn't somebody who sort of just started.
Fatima Jaffrey is an instructional coach at George Crockett Academy, a K-8 school in Detroit. Prior to arriving 5 years ago, she served as a high school principal. In her role as a formative assessment coach, Fatima illustrates how formative assessment uncovers the learning that takes place below the surface.
When we're thinking about the whole process that we've been through, it's sharing and reflecting as we embrace the formative process. At first, when you're talking about assessment, everybody says, oh yeah, that's just great teaching. And you see just basically the tip of the iceberg. Over here I have the individuals in the boat, our boat name, we have so much more to learn. But you'll look and see, wow, we begun to understand. I can see it now. Only the tip. Oh, it's more than what we see, it's a process. So this person that's saying this basically understands that there's more under the water than what we can actually see on the top. And so our whole team really were able to share, have a common language, and be able to share and reflect about the process as we were engaging students in it.
One of the things that we tried to undertake this year is we had this learning team who is a part of a bigger department, and we sort of tried to have 2 learning teams going at once. One was the small learning team that met more frequently, and then we have extended PD time once a week, and so we tried to bring along the larger outside group. One of the things that we've sort of figured out this year is they've sort of adopted small pieces of the formative assessment, and those teachers haven't had as much success. And was part of the training that they talked about a lot is it's not formative assessment unless, and it includes all of these pieces. And so as we saw teachers implement maybe one very small piece, even with support of the people around them, and they saw other people doing something and tried to take that one piece, that without continued support and continued learning into more parts of it, that just doing that one part in isolation didn't really do what we wanted it to do. What I would tell potential team members is that to understand that not only is it a process that we talk about doing in class, but it's a process of implementing all of this into your classroom. I talked to one teacher who did 1.5 years of planning before doing anything in their classroom. And I think the advantage of that is that she sort of saw immediate change in her students and immediate success. I think it's hard to maintain that momentum without having sort of that kernel of student success already. And so one of the things our team did, I think that was good, was they started small. They did something small, saw some success that motivated them to continue to go on. And I think that's the same thing we see from our students, that if they see that success, then they're motivated to go on and do some more. And I think it's the same thing for our team members, and definitely for me as a coach, that, seeing some of these things happen in the classroom, hearing teachers come back and say, wow, I did this in class and this is what I saw, definitely kept me sort of engaged. And yes, this is definitely something we want to move on, and that not only do we want to maintain with this group of people we have working, but we want to grow in our district as well.